Have you ever had that feeling where you're talking to someone, but you just know you're not getting the full story? Well, the truth is, everyone leaves little clues about who they really are. You just have to know where to look. And today, we're going to learn how to read those signs using some incredibly powerful insights from the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche.
I mean, it makes sense, right? From the time we're kids, we're basically taught to take people at their word. Words are how we connect, how we learn, how we build our entire picture of the world and the people in it.
But here's where Nietzsche throws a wrench in the works. He warned us that language can be tricky, because a lot of the time, people aren't speaking from a place of pure, honest truth. They're speaking from a place of survival, of ego. The personality you see, it's often just the armor they've built to get through the day.
And this is where it gets really good, because Nietzsche gives us a totally new way of listening. It's not just about hearing the words, but about noticing the cracks, the hesitations, the things they emphasize too much, and maybe most importantly, the things they don't say at all.
Now, when you first hear that, it might sound a little cynical. But Nietzsche didn't see the mask as a bad thing, not really. For him, it's not about being fake, it's a survival tool. It's a way to protect your true, vulnerable self from a world that might not be ready for it. Our job isn't to rip the mask off, but to understand it's there.
So, let's start there. Welcome to Act 1, the world of masks. This is all about learning to decode that surface-level behavior we see every single day.
And here's the most important thing to get right away. This isn't usually about some grand, malicious plan to deceive you. Most people are just scared, They're afraid of being judged, of being rejected, of not belonging. So they put on a mask, a version of themselves they think the world will accept.
Okay, this is one of Nietzsche's absolute gems. Pay close attention to what people constantly criticize in others. That person who is always pointing out arrogance, there's a good chance they're fighting a deep insecurity of their own. It's like our biggest complaints about other people are actually accidental confessions about ourselves.
You ever meet someone who just can't stop talking about how moral or good they are? Be a little skeptical. Nietzsche saw this as a sneaky power move. Often, it's not really about being good, it's about making sure everyone else sees them as superior.
And this just nails it, doesn't it? Think about it. Genuine kindness, real integrity. It doesn't need an audience. It's what you do when nobody's watching. That loud performance of virtue, that's for the crowd. True goodness is for you.
All right, so we've got the mask down. Now for Act 2, we're going to go a little deeper. We're looking for the cracks in that armor. Those little moments where the mask slips and the truth starts to peek through.
So often, we see confusing behavior and just write it off. Why does that person need to dominate every single conversation? Why do they over-explain the simplest things? The answer, more often than not, is fear. A deep, maybe even unconscious, fear of losing control, of being seen as a failure, of being left behind.
So here's the game-changing question you need to start asking. Stop focusing on what does this person want. Instead, ask yourself, what are they terrified of losing? That question right there, it cuts through the noise and gets you right to the heart of their real motivation almost every single time.
Oh, this next one is a huge tell. It's subtle, but it's so powerful. When someone's statements are just a little too extreme, a little too absolute, that's a sign of major insecurity. Exaggeration is basically the ego shouting to try and drown out its own doubt.
I mean, we've all heard this, right? The person who says over and over again, "Oh, I literally don't care what anybody thinks about me." The louder and more often they say it, the more certain you can be that they are absolutely consumed by what other people think. The volume of the denial tells you everything.
And wow, in our age of social media, this one hits hard. The endless stream of curated photos, the constant performance of success or happiness. Nietzsche would have seen right through it. He'd say it's not a sign of strength, but of desperation. A person who is truly content and secure doesn't need constant validation. And now we're at the final act. We've seen the mask, we've seen the cracks. Act 3 is about getting to the very center of it all, the core wound. This is where we figure out the why behind everything we've seen so far. This is such a powerful, profound thought. We like to think we're all logical beings, making arguments based on facts. But Nietzsche would say that underneath almost every strongly held belief, there's an old emotional wound. Our beliefs are the shields we build to make sure we never get hurt in that same way again. So, what does that mean? It means people don't just magically change. They repeat. They unconsciously replay the roles and dynamics they had to learn as kids just to feel safe or loved. Their adult behavior is often just an echo of a much older story.
And really, it all boils down to this. A person's biography, their actual life story, is a way better predictor of their behavior than their stated beliefs. That person who insists they're cold and logical, look into their past and you might find a kid who was told over and over again not to cry. Their adult persona isn't a philosophy, it's a survival strategy they never outgrew.
So after all this, where do we land? We land with a completely new way of seeing people. It's a shift, away from snap judgments and towards something much, much deeper.
Before, you might have just seen arrogance or weakness or someone being dishonest. But now, with this new lens, you can see what's underneath it all. You can see the fear that's driving the arrogance, the pain that's causing the weakness, and the desperate human need for safety behind it all.
And that's really the point of all this. This knowledge isn't a weapon. It's not about being able to manipulate people or win arguments. It's about being able to see them more clearly, so you can stop being fooled by the mask and start connecting with the real person underneath. It's about empathy. It's about offering a little bit of grace.
So we'll end on this one final question, because every single truth we've talked about today, it isn't just a window for looking out at others, it's also a mirror. The more you practice seeing the masks and fears and wounds in other people, the more you'll start to recognize them in yourself. And that, right there, isn't the end of the lesson. That's the beginning of a whole new journey.